Hi everyone, welcome to our fellowship celebration, the Legatum Center's fellowship celebration. Meghan Mitchell, the Director of Fellowship and Student Programs. So welcome. I'm going to turn it over to our Executive Director, Dina Sherif, for some welcome remarks as we begin the program.
All right, thank you, Megan. I'm just getting familiar with all the numbers increasing in participants. Okay, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dina Sherif. I'm the Executive Director of the Legatum Center. Welcome to all of you who are joining us virtually. And for those of you attending who've never been acquainted with the center was established over 12 years ago to promote principled entrepreneurship as a pathway to sustainable and inclusive development within emerging markets. And while our mandate is emerging market focused, I would say that never before has principled entrepreneurship become more important than it is today. And while the center is involved in many other programs, we're really here today to celebrate the coming to an end of this year's Student Fellowship Program, which is one of our flagship programs. So I'd love to take a moment to kind of applaud the fellows here with us on the call today. I just want to start by saying how much I appreciate just how difficult it is to close a fellowship virtually. I've been a fellow myself in other programs, and to not be able to say goodbye with a proper hug, it's a really difficult thing, but we'll do our best to make today as special as possible. So before we start the program, there's a lot of gratitude that I think needs to be expressed. First and foremost, there isn't a single speaker who's joined today who didn't respond with, and I will absolutely be there within 30 minutes of my request. And to all of you, I want to express my deep gratitude for your support for the center and of our fellows. I'm also incredibly grateful to all the partners and collaborators we have across campus who support not only our mission, but all the work of our students. For those of you here tonight from the Martin Trust Center, MIT Africa, MIT Media Lab, Ideas in the PKG Center, and D-Lab, thank you for another great year and for your constant support. I would also like to thank the leadership of MIT Sloan and MIT more broadly, specifically our faculty director, Professor Fiona Murray, who I don't think has joined yet, but who's always available to all of us for advice and support, and also to our fellows. And of course, the fellowship in its entirety would not at all be possible without the generosity of our donors, the Legatum Group, MasterCard Foundation, the Jacobs Foundation, the Charles Koch Foundation, and Her Royal Highness Princess Moody bint Khaled. And finally, the real stars of tonight are the members of my team, the Legatum Center team. You will hear from some of them tonight, but I wanted to specifically express gratitude to Meghan Mitchell, the Director of Fellowships and Student Programs, Julia Turnbull, Assistant Director of Student Programs, Kevin O'Connor, who manages our events and marketing, and last but not least, Art Osfer and Eileen Carney, who provide financial and admin support. I also wanted to give a quick shout out to our scholars and residents, Valeria and Adel Bosili, and of course our journalist in residence, Elizabeth McBride, who's with us. You all joined at a very difficult time, and I know that you didn't get what you bargained for, but everyone has taken the changes with a lot of grace. And with that, I really want to turn this over to my colleague Meghan Mitchell to get the program started and introduce this year's fellows. But before I do that, I really wanted to thank all of you, the fellows, for dealing with everything that you did as we went through this global pandemic. All the uncertainty that has faced MIT students hasn't been easy, but the fellows, all of you have really dealt with it with a lot of grace and a lot of good spirit. And for that, I'm really grateful. You taught me a lot by how you behaved throughout this crisis. So with that, Megan,
Yeah,
the floor is yours.
fantastic. Thank you, Dina. Thank you very much. Julia, can you move the spotlight to me? So I know we have some alums out there, so please take this as you will. I'm particularly proud of, I'm particularly proud of the progress this year's group has made that's taking nothing back from the alums. But you know, I'm excited for you all to meet all of the fellows tonight. I'm sure you'll be fascinated and truly impressed with the work that they're doing, and in particular with the resilience and initiative and innovative spirit that they've shown during these really uncertain and unprecedented times. As many of you know, our fellows are working to improve lives through the development of good jobs and improve conditions around the world, and are working and committed to driving change across South America, Africa, Southeast Asia. They're innovating in the spaces of education and human capacity building, financial inclusion, energy, transportation, and agriculture and health. So if you aren't already excited, I'm certain that by the end of these pitches, you're going to be just as excited as I am about the potential that these young leaders have to deliver impact as they move beyond MIT and back out into the world. Now, typically we would wrap something like this up with networking, but what I would ask those of you to do who are interested in connecting to some of our fellows that you hear from this evening, to email us, reach out to us at legatum@mit.edu with the students that you're interested in connecting to, and we'll make those connections for you, okay? Because I want to give a chance for you to get to know them, so know them better. But enough about that. Let's hear from the fellows. So as someone who has built her career in education, I believe really strongly that an individual's success should not be limited to his or her access to opportunity. Innovations designed to help people reach greater educational achievement or to provide the skills and resources to help them be more successful business owners are simply essential. So I'd like to begin by introducing you to our fellows who are focused in the areas of education and capacity creation for citizens around the world. Please meet Michel, Chin, Miko, and Sebi.
Thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm Michel Mosse, second year MBA and founder of Team Lara. Today, more than 19 million students are pursuing post-secondary education in the US, but many more lack the resources to enroll. At the same time, scarcity of skilled workers has led to a nationwide labor shortage in occupations such as welding, nursing, and construction. And those typically pursuing degrees in those fields are non-traditional students that lack access to private funding and have exhausted their federal funding capacity. At Lara, we are increasing educational access to these students by offering income sharing agreements. These are more flexible ways of financing education where students pay a fixed amount of their income for a certain number of years only when making an income above a threshold. This aligns incentives between schools, students, and lenders. We will issue our first ISAs after the summer of 2020, and we are looking to grow our team. If you're willing to help us in any way, please get in touch. Thank you very much.
Hi, did you know that in countries like Vietnam, for millions of young people, English mastery make a difference between earning $400 or $4,000 a month? My name is Ching, and I'm from the MIT Integrated Design and Management program. I designed WordGain to help students learn vocabulary on the go. They can learn as they are reading online, streaming Netflix, or watching YouTube. They can easily manage and review the words that they learn in the same immersive learning experience. My co-founders and I are both non-native speakers who went through this difficult learning process and end up meeting at MIT. And our 4 engineers in Ho Chi Minh City are also committed to develop the learning platform and mastering their English at the same time. This is a $6 billion opportunity in Southeast Asia alone. We just published our first extension on the Chrome store last week. Please download WordGain Chrome extension, give it a try, and send me any suggestions you might have. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Miko and I'm the founder of Toka, also a second-year MBA student at MIT Sloan. Growing up in the Philippines, I taught impoverished youth at my neighborhood school, and actually on trips back home after leaving for Silicon Valley, I realized that while many of these students didn't have access to laptops, they did have access to basic smartphones. And so I started to wonder, what if they could use these basic phones to help me with some of my programming work? And it turns out this trend's actually prevalent throughout the country. Only 1 in 10 people in the Philippines have access to a laptop, but mobile penetration is over 5 times higher. And so I thought, what if people could plug into the digital economy using these mobile devices instead? And so this is where my venture Toka comes in. app users can generate income by performing very simple tasks on their phones that still require the human touch. So for example, identifying cars and pedestrians in photos taken at odd angles. These tags can then be packaged up and used to train machine learning models later on. From our research, unemployed youth can tag these images for about half the cost that is currently being charged in today's market. $2 billion actually is spent on training data every year, and this number is only going to increase with the rise of AI tech. And so at Toka, we aim to make this data more available for machine learning programmers, while at the same time creating economic opportunity for some of the world's most marginalized. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Picture this. You invested all your lifetime savings, borrowed money from friends and relatives to your business, but it still fails. This is the case in Kenya. 1 in every 4 small businesses closed down within the first year of operation. And this is primarily due to lack of access to finance, attributed to lack of financial guidance and support. My name is Sebi Salim. I'm a co-founder and the CEO of Tenakata, a fintech based in Nairobi, addressing this great challenge. We are a platform business centered around small businesses. We provide a mobile-based financial software, localized and customized to maintain business records. We provide partnership with coaches and mentors who use the financial data generated to provide financial management guidance. And finally, we bring in financial institutions to the business using the data to underwrite and provide loans to these businesses. We are currently rolling out our pilot for the first 600 small businesses in Nairobi. Join me if you need anything with regards to small businesses in Kenya. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you all. Another critical entry point to opportunity and equality is financial inclusion. Fair access to financial markets, systems, and capital are among the most pressing issues facing individuals in emerging markets. But financial inclusion requires more than just a fintech solution or a fancy app. It's about ensuring equitable access to affordable products and services, as well as access into the financial systems and markets. Our fellows attacking this issue from each of their points in the world are Quadri, Luis, Nafis, Hugo, and Lynn. Quadri?
Yeah. So good evening, all, and thank you for joining us. My name is Quadri Oguntade. I'm a first-year MBA student at Sloan and also the founder of Doma. Doma is a B2B marketplace that enables entrepreneurs in Nigeria to buy and sell quality products through an integrated mobile app platform. The problem is we have about 41.5 million SMEs in Nigeria in the informal sector today that face challenge getting quality products, and hence they could not win the customer trust and generate sales. The Doma team was in Nigeria in January, and we interviewed more than 50 SMEs who expressed similar challenge. Doma aims to solve this challenge by creating a platform that verifies suppliers and connect them with entrepreneurs so that they can be able to have access to quality products at an affordable price. On the mobile app platform, the business transaction of these SMEs are also documented so that we could advise them and create a credit profile for them, so for the future they could have access to finance. We are currently building an MVP for the mobile app, and we plan to launch in Nigeria at the end of the year. If you want to learn more about Doma and want to be part of the team, please reach out to me.
Did you know that Mexico exported $350 billion worth of goods to the US last year, making it the US second largest trade partner in the world? Yet, Mexico's 33,000 SMBs account for only 9% of the exports of the country, compared to an average share of 34% for OECD countries. How is this possible? International trade requires capital that banks are not providing, so SMBs are forced to finance their trade partners without the capabilities to do so. That is where AN comes in. We provide SMBs with a digital tool to outsource financing so they can focus on growing their business. We're starting with a non-recourse factoring solution, where we pay Mexican exporters a portion of the value of a shipment they have already delivered to the US importer. This product eliminates the shipping risk and shifts the payment risk to the US company, allowing us to charge better rates at a lower risk. As we ride the wave that is digitizing the trade industry, we see opportunities to expand to a huge range of financing solutions for companies on both sides of the border. My name is Luis Torres, and I'm a second-year MBA student with experience in the freight and finance industry. If you want to learn more, please reach out.
Thank you.
In Lahore, Pakistan, there is a similar pitch competition happening today. In fact, Pakistan has a lot of potential in entrepreneurship and technology. It's the 5th largest population in the world. 4G has quadrupled in just 4 years, and 700 notable startups have sprung up. But you've never heard of any of them. Usawa Investments, my company, will change this. My name is Nafis Ahmed, and I'm the founder of Usawa Investments. We aim to connect entrepreneurs and investors in Pakistan. The richest individuals in Pakistan have an asset base of $30 billion and want to invest in startups, the right startups. And at Usawa, we find the right startups through 2 key innovations. 1, psychometric testing to vet entrepreneurs for grit and integrity, and 2, predictive analytics to evaluate business potential. If you're interested in hearing more, I hope you'll reach out.
Hi, I'm Ugo. I'm a second-year MBA at MIT, and I'm the founder of Billit. Billit helps freelancers and small companies manage their tax-deductible expenses and get invoices from their vendors in a quick and effortless way. We basically made the boring stuff for you. Companies in Mexico need to get an official invoice from every vendor they purchase from in order to make expenses tax-deductible. So each vendor has its own invoicing process. Some have a designated website, usually provided by a third party, where their customers input information and get an invoice for the purchase. Other vendors will only offer you an invoice inside their premises, which you can get printed or emailed, but very often you need to wait in line for a long period of time. Freelancers and small companies spend an awful lot of time keeping track of every receipt, dealing with multiple vendors, and retrieving those invoices. With Billit, freelancers and companies make an expense, snap a photo of their receipt, and submit it to Billit. From there, we retrieve the invoice, send it back to the user, and record in a simple and clean interface where users can request reports and statistics. With Billit, users can have more time to do important tasks or just take a much needed break. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lynn. I'm co-founder of Across, the connector for mobile wallets. Recently, we have seen mobile wallets such as M-Pesa transform the lives of the unbanked. In Southeast Asia, where I'm from, 70% of the population do not have access to a bank account. This has given rise to hundreds of mobile wallet solutions in the region. However, there are some challenges. People are getting confused and fatigued by the large number of mobile wallets out there. These wallets are also closed-loop systems, which limits where you can spend credit. At Across, we connect mobile wallets across Southeast Asia to facilitate a seamless payment experience. We enable any mobile wallet that you choose to use to be connected with the one that your friends, family, neighborhood coffee shop, or convenience store uses. No more fumbling with phones, downloading yet another wallet app, or forgetting how much you have in your balance in different wallet accounts. Mobile payments is made easy the way it should be with Across. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Just a reminder, if you want to reach out directly to some of these fellows, please feel free to email your interest to us at legatum@mit.edu, and we'll immediately pass that right along. So movement. I know it's something that probably not enough of us are doing much of these days, and to move takes energy. The efficient and effective movement of people and products, as well as access to reliable, clean, low-cost energy, are essential for an economy to grow and prosper. The fellows who are spending their days and nights focused in these areas are Rodrick, Nitin, Pulkit, and Larissa.
Hi, I'm Rodrick, and I'm the co-founder of Sakai. So imagine if you had to get around New York, but without the help of app or an app. Well, apps that we can usually rely on simply do not cover the key modes of transport. And so that's where my venture comes in. Sakai is a navigation app that's tailor-fit for developing countries that rely heavily on informal transit, such as jeepneys, shared vans, and tricycles. By combining all these multimodal transit options, we can provide you the best way to get you to your destination. And so as of January 2020, we've hit 10 million searches, 150,000 monthly active users, and the #1 spot of the Play Store and the App Store in the navigation category of the Philippines. So if you're excited about moving people in developing countries, then please reach out to me. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. This is Nitin. I'm a co-founder of Digilytics. Also, I'm a PhD student in mechanical engineering. In fact, I'm defending tomorrow. 30% of India's total electricity consumption and 5% of annual CO2 emissions can be reduced by efficient demand-side electricity management. At Digilytics, I'm developing AI and IoT solutions to help commercial building owners in India to reduce their electricity spending. So we go to factories and we go to buildings, install wireless sensors, gather electricity consumption data, and build analytics on top of them to help them identify and overcome areas of inefficiencies. And we want to make this possible without any upfront cost to the building owners, and we will then generate savings for them from day one. So if you're interested in this space, please reach out through Legatum Center. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Access to energy and water are the building blocks for sustainable economic growth. Having grown up and worked in Kenya, the statistic that approximately half of sub-Saharan Africa lacks access to these basic human rights is close to heart. I'm Pulka Shamsheri, and I co-founded Illumina Africa to make a dent in these statistics. Illumina Africa is a solar energy startup with a proven track record of delivering commercial solar energy projects in East Africa. We have developed over 750 kilowatts of installed capacity, and this makes us the 5th largest Kenyan solar provider. In the near term, our company is contributing to the fight against COVID by supplying solar water pumps to rural, vulnerable communities, and have partnered with 2 rural clinics for rapid deployment of solar energy. Longer term, we're committed to developing mini-grid infrastructure and using that electricity to pump water to not only provide electricity, but also water to communities. This not only builds capacity for further growth, but also makes mini-grids a financially viable business model. Illumina hasn't gotten to where it is alone. We have been mentored by, supported by, and partnered with amazing individuals, companies, and cooperatives. And that is why I sit in front of you here today. If there's anyone involved in powering East Africa through COVID, or know anyone that is, please reach out to us. And also anyone that's involved in development of mini-grids and innovative financial instruments of setting up mini-grids, I would love to connect and pick your brain. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Larissa, a co-founder of Linkwide. MRO buying is inefficient. Organizations spend a disproportionate amount of time sourcing and purchasing maintenance, repair, and operations items, or MRO for short. There's a long tail of fragmented suppliers. Assessing their quality is hard, and companies have low bargaining power when buying one-offs. Linkwide is the e-procurement solution for sourcing these parts. Strategically positioned in the supply chain, we streamline communication, consolidate orders, and use volume to increase bargaining power for our clients. Linkwide provides optimal services on unplanned purchases while using data to optimize inventory levels. The COVID-19 crisis has pushed us to apply our infrastructure and consolidation power to help companies in Mexico source medical equipment for the safe return of their employees back into the workforce. We are looking for companies to try our services and investors to help us grow our operations. If you know anyone who might be interested, please get in touch.
Fantastic. Thank you. So just today, at the very top of the New York Times website, was an article showcasing the fact that 1 in 5 children in the US are currently not getting enough to eat. And that is reportedly 3 times higher than the number of children who faced similar situations during the 2008 recession. But while many of the factors in the article point to these US numbers being exacerbated by the pandemic and time away from school for many children, food insecurity is an ongoing reality for far too many people globally. The agricultural value chains are ripe for disruption and innovation, and our fellows are thinking very carefully about how their ventures can ensure a world where value flows to the right people and that our food systems are working to provide adequately for everyone. At this time, I'd like to introduce you to Ezinne, Sahil and Josh, David, and Fatima and Mercy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ezinne Uzo-Okoro. In Nigeria, there are 2 kinds of people. People who are food insecure and need employment, and people who want fresh produce grown for them in their homes. I'm the founder of Terraformers.com, and we connect these 2 groups of people together because, as Meghan alluded to, there are 2/3 of Lagosians that are food insecure. Terraformers helps people eat nutritious food at low cost through productive and networked backyard gardening. Our platform connects residents to vetted local gardeners while providing economic opportunity and a pathway to food access to those who are food insecure. Our garden harvests at local schools in the area are an opportunity for students and gardeners to learn how to become self-reliant and become skilled for gainful employment. Please reach out if you have a passion for advising urban-focused or food-focused startups. We'd love to talk to you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. 95% of cashews are exported raw from Ghana for about 45 cents a pound with absolutely no value addition. Now think about how much you paid for your last small package of cashews or groundnuts, maybe $5, $6 for only a quarter-pound bag. This is one of the many missed opportunities to bring quality produce from Ghana, a country with abundant resources and amazing food, to the global market. Ghana is a reflection of the dearth of global African food brands, despite its rich tradition of food. This is a product of broken infrastructure, structural economic constraints, and limited connections to foreign markets. At Gria Foods, we're focused on addressing these challenges by building an export brand of premium products to share with the world.
We're doing this by sourcing produce from farmers that we built strong relationships with. By building their capacity, we're bringing elegantly packaged, high-quality products straight to US consumers in reusable and biodegradable containers. This promotes good labor practices and environmental sustainability, which is important to our brand. Luckily, this is just in time as a lot of us are sitting around snacking, and tree nut demand and transparency for consumer goods is increasing. So we're really trying to take advantage of all these trends coming together. We're excited to say that we're in the process of importing our first shipment of cashew nuts right now, and we look forward to sharing it with you all. So if you're interested in joining us in building a premium African food brand from the ground up, or you're just hungry and want to sample some of our shipment, please reach out to Josh Reed and me, Sahil Joshi. Thanks.
With an expected world population of 10 billion by 2050, guaranteeing food security is going to be the focus of the future. To this end, some people are starting to look at the oceans as constant food suppliers. However, for the past 30 years, climate change, pollution, and overfishing have threatened global seafood stocks. In fact, it is estimated that about 70% of the world's fisheries are now overexploited. Aquatic farming or aquaculture could be the solution. However, despite its pristine geographic location and climate, less than 1% of seafood is farmed in the Caribbean. My name is David Miranda. I come from Puerto Rico, and I am the founder of Mare Pesca. We aim to bring aquaculture to the Caribbean and are partnering with marine experts to launch a pilot study this fall, where we aim to farm tropical fish species in the southern coast of Puerto Rico. This way, we hope to develop a much-needed, robust, and sustainable aquaculture industry that supplies the Caribbean and the world.
Hello, my name is Fatima Diallo, and I am the co-founder of Pandar Africa, the Uber for agricultural rental equipment in Africa. Our mission at its core is to financially empower smallholder farmers by providing them cost-effective access to agricultural equipment, such as tractors, plowing equipment, and sprayers, just to name a few. Having grown up in families that consist of farmers, we are super passionate about this sector. Having seen firsthand these communities struggle to make ends meet, despite their large contribution to food access and security in the continent.
Our solution is a short-term peer-to-peer rental that allows equipment owners to lend their equipment to a cooperative of farmers. The equipment owners gain extra income from idle equipment, and farmers gain access to cheaper equipment that will generate productivity gains. We plan to create a sustainable business and generate revenue by taking a 2% cut from every transaction that's done through our platform. At the end of the first year, we hope to have reached and helped 150 farmers, increase these farmers' incomes by 20%, and onboarded 30 equipment owners. We're currently conducting a mapping exercise to narrow down on a beachhead region in Kenya, and are also developing our platform prototype. If you know of mid to large scale equipment owners in Kenya that would be interested in this idea or are interested in helping us in prototype development, please let us know. Thank you.
Thank you. So these times have continued to showcase the absolute necessity of protecting the most vulnerable among us. Those include infants, particularly those born too early and in unsatisfactory conditions, as well as refugees who have been displaced and forced to move far from home. And as we are all faced with the current pandemic and the ravages of COVID-19, I know we are all rethinking healthcare systems and how resources are allocated for the well-being of all members of society. Let me introduce you to our final 3 fellows and some of our best healthcare innovators, Sumit, Sergio, and Anatole.
Hi everyone, I'm Sumit, founder of iPhone, where we are using origami to address healthcare problems across developing economies. Our latest product has been this predator face shield, but I'm going to talk about ICU, which is an origami-inspired transport incubator that will help prevent hypothermia-related neonatal deaths across developing economies. Each year, about 130 million babies are born, out of which up to 80% suffer from hypothermia, and up to about 2 million die. Now, all that these babies need is a safe and warm environment to transport them to tertiary care hospitals where they can get the right care. But in developing economies, most of these babies are born either in home settings or at primary care hospitals, and transporting them to tertiary care hospitals becomes an issue. And this is where I4 and ICU comes in. ICU is an ultra-cost-effective, ultra-portable transport incubator that will be fitted in all ambulances across these countries, along with a penny-sized baby monitoring device that will transport these babies safely from home or primary hospitals to tertiary care hospitals, hence saving a lot of babies in the process. If you are interested in this space, please reach out. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sergio Medina, and I am a graduating executive MBA student. And for the past couple of years, I've been working at the organization that I founded, RISE, on education and school meals for refugee children in Kenya. And our focus is on 80,000 kids in the Kakuma refugee camp. Now, post-COVID, a component of the product that we were building was actually a digital immunization tracker so that we could have children and their parents enter their World Health Organization yellow immunization card data into a platform, and the refugees themselves own it. They don't have electronic medical records in refugee camps, but they do have mobile phones. So on the same platform, we're building a immunization card, and our focus is to deploy this in a camp and potentially show coverage rates and inoculation rates for current diseases that we have vaccines for, and do this for 200,000 refugees in that camp. Now, if we can demonstrate that we can digitize immunization records for 200,000 people, this has massive potential to scale, especially when, when a vaccine for COVID emerges. So we've been building digital infrastructure to prepare for this pandemic and future pandemics. Thank you.
My name's Anatole Menon-Johansson. I'd like to thank the Legatum team and all the fellows for a great year. 4 years ago, we launched a novel technology to deliver anonymous contact tracing for patients diagnosed with HIV or a sexually transmitted infection. The S60 service uses SMS and email to inform the contact of their infection risk, and then we signpost them to a local service. And then 2 years ago, we developed a booking module so that we could ensure accurate linkage to care to a local and appropriate clinic. We've now expanded this solution and developed a contact virus tracker, which to deliver effective contact tracing for COVID-19. And we've designed this to amplify the frontline contact tracing services so they can actively deliver a more effective suppression phase for this current pandemic. So if you any contacts in the healthcare space, then please do reach out so that we can expand and deliver this solution to as many places as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anatole. Fantastic. So, ladies and gentlemen out there in the world, I think you can understand why I feel so lucky and fortunate to be able to work with this amazing group of students. And hope you agree with me. I know you agree with me that this is the next generation of agents for change who are going to transform society and really improve the global well-being. So that completes the pitch portion, but we have another really exciting segment of our program this evening. And just as a reminder for those of you who do want to reach out to some of the fellows, Legatum at MIT.edu. But for the next session of the program, we've actually assembled, as Dina referred to earlier, our class speakers from just about every class speaker we had this semester, and some folks at the center to provide their reflections and feedback, each 1 minute on what they heard. But before we do that, we do have a very special guest, and I'd like to turn the proverbial mic, or maybe more the spotlight, over to the Associate Dean of Innovation and Inclusion at the MIT Sloan School and Legatum Center's fearless leader and faculty director, Fiona Murray. Fiona.
Great. Well, Megan, thank you very much. And I have a message on my screen that says the host has now spotlighted me. I'm not sure I have ever had the opportunity to be quite so spotlit in front of so many people before. But I will tell you that the end of the academic year, celebrating the Legatum Fellows, is one of the things that is a particular privilege and pleasure. As you know, particularly with the expansion of my role as Associate Dean of Innovation and Inclusion, I have quite a few responsibilities, but the Legatum Center and the community of Legatum Fellows is one that is incredibly dear to my heart because of the work that you do and the incredibly important things that you are doing while you're here at MIT, that you've already done before you come, and that we know you'll go off and do in the world. And so I very much just wanted to congratulate you on completing your degrees or your year with us, especially under such really difficult and I know trying circumstances for all of us. All of us have been affected in one way or another with family and friends. And I know that's really challenging. So I just want to congratulate you on doing that. As somebody from the UK, it seems like it's very difficult to give a speech without referring to something that Churchill had to say. But I actually have discovered a new quote of his that I just wanted to share with you because it just made me feel a little better. And he says that a pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity, an optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. And it seems to me that now more than ever, our community really needs your passion and your optimism. In every single one of the pitches and presentations I just heard, there's a sense of the possible, and there is a real sense of optimism that we can actually really make a difference. We need your purpose. We need you to be, purposeful in the big challenges that you take on. And we also really need your determination to be principled entrepreneurs. And that is such an important thing to us. And we're really happy that you were able to spend this year together really building that community, because I know that in that community comes a real strength so that when we get into these difficult times, we can really all pull together. As I say, I know that these difficult times have affected all of us in one way or another, sometimes very, very personally and other times, but we all know somebody and people who are affected and are being affected. And part of as we think about how we choose our Legatum Fellows obviously we need people who are smart and determined, but we're also selecting you because we know you're innovators who want to focus on really significant challenges. And today we're seeing a lot of that innovation and what I think of as this crisis innovation, providing solutions to some of the really pressing and immediate problems that we have today, particularly in the healthcare crisis that is actually sort of the thing that's right in front of us. But I also know, and I think we know, that there's a huge opportunity tomorrow for the kinds of organizations and businesses and ventures that you're building to help with both the economic and the social recovery. And that is going to be an absolutely massive global challenge. I mean, it's quite clear that we are going to be in unprecedented times. And so the kinds of building, are going to be absolutely essential, and I think are a very bright light on the horizon for all of us. And so we know that the only way through all this really is to focus on innovation and this whole innovation engine that you are critical parts of, because we know that's the engine that drives entrepreneurial ventures. It's the engine that solves problems. It's the engine that through you creates jobs, but it also changes the system. And I know we've spent a lot of time this year talking to you about that. And we know that you are going to go out as change agents well beyond the impact that you have in the particular venture and the jobs that you create and the change that you make, but in fact to sort of have that ripple effect through the system. And I really hope as well that understanding what you do, you'll then inspire the next generation of global innovators to actually follow in your footsteps, and you'll be in a situation to refer other people to come and become part of this Legatum community. And so I do just want to remind all of you that just because you're graduating or leaving does not mean that you just get to vanish off. Once you've been a Legatum Fellow and once you're part of our community, you remain part of that community. We will be tapping you for your advice, for your expertise, asking you to come back and share your stories. But we also want you to know that we're also here for you. There's a tremendous now, almost I think 10 years of Legatum Fellows. They are there for you too, and so you join that community. But as you think about your next steps, as you build out your ventures, as you try to build teams, if you need guidance, if you need referrals, that's part of what we're here to do. Is we're here to continue to support you in that as part of our community. And for me, that is what's quite special, is that you do come together not just as individuals, but really form a community that I think does have that passion and purpose that just means so much to us at MIT. I do want to say, though, that that community is led incredibly ably by an amazing team. My job in being the faculty director of the Legatum Center is incredibly easy, actually, because the team is wonderfully led by Dina as the executive director, by Meghan, who is hosting us, I think, here this evening and has introduced all of you, with such efficiency and grace, but also such pride. I can hear the pride in Meghan's voice as she introduces all of you, with Julia and Kevan and the rest of the team. And so I'm extremely appreciative. And I'm also very appreciative for all our supporters, the philanthropists and donors who really do support our work and drive us to do more. Each time we think that we're sort of doing something new and different, they ask us to do more and do better. And so it's an important mission and one that we take really, really seriously. So with that, I just want to thank all of you again and congratulate you, because this is a really special time, even if we're sitting, or perhaps especially because we're sitting distributed around the world. Now, Meghan, having said that,
yes,
is it now my job to introduce Maria?
Please.
Absolutely is.
Okay, well, so then I am extremely honored to introduce Maria Kozloski. I hope I've got that correct. So to introduce Maria Kozloski. Maria is actually an MIT alum. She graduated from MIT with a degree in mathematics, which means that she surely has a degree from one of the toughest departments at MIT. So that is something that I don't see very often, and is an extraordinarily impressive accomplishment. She's gone on to have a really successful career in a whole variety of different organizations, public sector, private sector, global organizations. And most recently, she's global head and chief investment officer of private equity at the IFC. And so Maria, if I can thank you very much for joining us. And turn the spotlight, as I think we now call it, over to you to share your thoughts with us.
Well, thank you very much. Actually, I'm really excited to be here. I thank you so much for having me. I can tell all of you on this webcast, I'm definitely feeling the difficulty of going through the end of school and not having the same experience. I have 2 kids that are in college. I have a senior in high school. So we are experiencing all of the school-related upheavals like you. And most of my family actually is in Massachusetts. So I hear a lot about what's happening in the Cambridge community. And I know many of you are now dispersed back to your home countries, but we will get through this. I like to be an optimist, and let's look forward to a time when we can all gather, and hopefully this class will plan for a time in the future that you can share this time maybe in person, and also share how your various ventures are doing. I'm excited to hear about them. So I do currently head up IFC's business, investing in private equity funds and venture capital funds in emerging markets. And since so many of your ventures cover that part of the world, I thought I'd just share, look, what we're actually seeing on the ground. A lot of it is tough news, but I think it's worth at least sharing some of this so you can see from a development finance institution what we're trying to plan for. IFC is invested in over 330 funds across all the regions in emerging markets, and there's something like 3,000 odd investee companies underlying that. And we had to just go through an exercise, reaching out and taking the temperature across the board as to what is going on. At this point, in terms of valuations, we're expecting things to fall. Our valuations are all down in aggregate 15% at the end of March, and that is because of COVID. I mean, emerging markets has been a tough place to go recently, and COVID is starting to have an impact. Dina asked me which sectors are hardest hit. I think that was part of her email, and I don't think it's surprising to any of you to know that certainly travel, tourism, entertainment, in-person education, the healthcare system, while it's seeing a lot of demand, is trying to plan for if it hasn't come, what is coming. But then we're starting to see microfinance, institutions that were providing money to smaller businesses. That's going to be a hard hit sector, and SMEs in particular. So all of that is where we see, I would say, pain of varying degrees. It's not the same in all markets, but it's tough. And while there certainly are sectors where there's likely to be a pickup, logistics, e-commerce, all of these digital services, many of the things I think these ventures are going into, we do see positive trends there. But across the board, I would say in emerging markets, it hasn't settled. And even companies that are in sectors that are maybe getting more demand and more use as a result of the crisis, they're having their own challenges with inputs. And I would say for all of you, as you think about your businesses, really start to think about, it's not just the first order impact. Like, it's easy to see that the travel sector is down or tourism is down, but those are what we would say like first order impacts. It's the second and third order impacts that need some attention, because all of those businesses have many companies that supply them. They have customers that are impacted. And that's, as we look forward, I would say our prognosis in the near term is it's going to be a lot more pain. And what we expect going forward is that it's going to take time before we really understand the longer term impacts of global economic weakness. You know, when this was starting, we did see the impacts from companies in Asia, and they had a downturn. And then we saw some improved, as things settled, the curve seemed to flatten, the outlook seemed stronger. But even in those markets where the curve is flattened, the global picture and how that's going to impact everybody is now being digested. We expect communication and delivery models to change, and the whole focus on supply chain sustainability, supply chain security, that's going to be, I think, an area that we see a lot of shift and movement. Certainly many of the things you're doing, the increased use of technology can help. Data mining, I think, can help. There are opportunities that will come out of it. But if I were an entrepreneur right now, I would say spend a lot of time understanding all aspects of your business. Be in the present, you know, and look at what is the immediate impact today, what you think might be the medium-term impact, and then look at the long term, but don't shy away from what could be real upheaval in your plan, and try to address it. Look at companies that are maybe even your competitors or peers. As I listen to so many of these pitches, I've heard many companies trying to do similar things. You know, everyone's got a unique idea, but don't be afraid to find out who's done something similar, even if it's in a different region, and try to learn from them, or if you can collaborate. I was talking to one person yesterday who is basically out there trying to go to every webinar, everything he can find online, just to kind of mine for information, and test your proposal. Don't be afraid to pivot now. I think you may not know which direction to pivot, but if you can be in the present now, I think the opportunities are there in emerging markets. Look, the emerging markets are going to need your help. We are preparing for a pretty tough period ahead. We're worried about SMEs. Even the SMEs that you are going to service, while they could use some of these technologies, they're going to be dealing with a lot of other issues. And appreciating the difficulties that they have, I think, will help you as you think about your business models. But certainly, the company that's doing the tracing, the fintech, you know, those things will have a role to play. But I do think you need to prepare for difficulties. Many of our governments in these emerging markets don't have the medical services, they don't have the infrastructure, and they've already had lots of other challenges going into this. So just don't be afraid of that, and think about how your business idea may just need to be adapted for the current circumstances. But I wish you all much luck. I get very excited when I come to these things because the ideas really are phenomenal. And even when, as I said, you know, I've seen many companies in the different spaces that you're looking at, health tech, ed tech, and so forth. But even so, people always come up with new ideas, and I think that's how we go forward. So with that, thank you for having me. And congratulations on finishing out a terrific program. You guys are the success of MIT.
Maria, before they take the spotlight off of you, this is Dina. I just wanted to ask you just one follow-up question. What are you most hopeful and optimistic about in the long term, specifically with regards to emerging markets as a result of this particular crisis?
As a result of well, look, I think the demographics of emerging markets are still there. They're young populations. These are growing populations. I've been working in emerging markets for almost 30 years. What I'm hopeful about is I just see that these young populations, the ideas are starting to come from the markets themselves. When I started in emerging markets 30 years ago, there wasn't that opportunity in many of these markets. And I would say we started doing a lot more venture capital at IFC in emerging markets, particularly in the past 5 years. And we are now seeing early stage companies addressing local demands. And it's coming from young populations that are going back, trying to meet the demographic needs. That's what excites me. I think we'll get through this health crisis. We don't know when, but certainly there's a lot of attention being put on both treating COVID and hopefully eventually getting a vaccine. So I do think we'll come out the other end. And then the changing landscape, it gets more promising over time, and that excites me.
Awesome. Maria, thank you. And to everybody listening, I just, when I contacted Maria again, she immediately responded and said, yes, I would love to join here the fellows and share my thoughts. So thank you, Maria, again for being with us tonight. So I'd love to move to the next segment of the program. And I just wanted to say that the next group of speakers are people who have in some way, shape, or form engaged with the center over the past year. And this particular segment of the program was really designed for the fellows. I've asked each of the special guests joining us to give their own 1-minute piece of wisdom or advice or inspiration to all of the fellows. And again, I just wanted to say that there's some of them who responded back to me with literally within 2 minutes saying that they're going to be here. So I would love to get this segment started. I would just like to ask, just as the students stuck to their 1-minute pitches, please stick to your 1-minute pieces of wisdom. I'd love to start with Sanjay, who has been our entrepreneur in residence this past year. There we go. Sanjay, let's start with you. What do you have to share with the fellows tonight?
Well, first of all, congratulations. And, this is very, very different. And Maria, like you, I have a senior, and it's really, challenging. And I know you're also missing your friends and wanting to have a proper send-off and graduation. But the ideas, and I've done this for almost 2 years now at Legatum, the ideas are just, they just keep coming. And I love that about the fellows, the enthusiasm. And as others have said, as Maria has said, this will pass. And if you're as old as I am, I've gone through several, downturns, 1997, 2001, 2008. And, when you're in it, you cannot see light at the end of the tunnel, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. And as entrepreneurs, I think we don't seek risk, we manage risk, right? And this is what I see in all of you. And I think emerging markets, and as you, most of you know, I'm from Nepal, came to the US by myself at 17, brought internet to Nepal in 1994. And I now know what that was at the time. It was a very small project, but really what it did to Nepal and the economy there is phenomenal. So, I truly hope that you guys in whatever venture you're doing, you're going to thrive. It's not going to be linear. It's going to be non-linear for sure. But as entrepreneurs, you're going to find a solution. And with that, congratulations to all of you.
Thank you, Sanjay. So I'd like to now move to Christopher Schroeder, who is a dear, dear friend and mentor for many, many years now, as co-founder of Next Billion Ventures. Chris, you were with us at the last demo day, and thank you for joining us again today. What is the one piece of wisdom, advice you have to share with the fellows at this current moment?
Firstly, I'm just in awe of the Legatum program. I'm in awe of you people who have organized it and been so dedicated to it, but particularly in awe of the students, and congratulations to you. Look, I mean, it's very easy to get wound up on how terrible things are today because they're tough, but entrepreneurs are about getting over terrible and seeing things through. So my advice isn't really advice, it's kind of a cheering on and exhortation. And it really just says to you that there are things in life you can control and you should hit them with everything you have. And there are things you can't control and you have to try to move them out of your mind so you can be steely focused overall. Because the fact is, in listening to you all, you are on the front lines of two of the most really amazing phenomenon that will not go away. The first is, and you live this, the least understood revolution in technology today is not technology, but is access to technology everywhere in the world. And you guys are proving that problems can be solved anywhere, on anywhere's terms, not on some Western or Chinese version, but on the terms that you see in your real life experience. And I think that will never go back. And I think it's only something very powerful to leverage. And the second thing is, for all the terribleness of COVID, we have to remember that literally in 6 weeks or 2 months, 10 years of human behavior shifted into that period of time. And as you think about your companies and as you think about your businesses, the idea that all of a sudden hundreds and hundreds of millions of people are now comfortable with virtualness in some form of their life, whether it be in education or in healthcare or in how they transact and how they buy things or how they move money. This has been happening obviously for years, but it now has just gone unbelievably on steroids. Many of your businesses are doing the latter. All of your businesses are part of the former. And I just can't be more excited to see what you do with it all. And I wish you all the best and look forward to staying in touch with you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being with us, Chris. Meghan McCormick. Meghan is a former Legatum Fellow and co-founder and CEO of OZE.
Hi, just congratulations. Those pitches were all amazing. I'm about to hit my 1-year anniversary of being out of school and back in the field. And so I wanted to give you advice on that transition. I think the amount that you'll accomplish in your next year is really going to floor you once you take away the demands of an MIT education and all of your classwork. So, you know, you might be going through a really hard time, but get excited and get motivated because you're going to do so much in the next year. And then on the flip side, I'd like to say, don't take every minute you used to spend on class and now work. So take this new free time that you have and give yourself a little break, take a weekend, take a day off. The amount that you can have recharging just by spending some time with yourself and your friends and your family is going to make that working time even more productive. And then lastly, don't lose touch with each other. I think one of the biggest things you miss when you go back out into the world from MIT is constantly bumping into brilliant people. And what COVID has shown us all is that we now can bump into each other digitally. So make sure that you don't lose touch and track of your fellows, because now, even though I graduated from my first year of Legatum 3 years ago, I'm still in touch with those fellows and they still give me enormous strength in the work that I'm doing.
Thank you so much, Meghan. Ifosa Ajomo is co-author of The Prosperity Paradox. Ifosa, thank you so much for joining us and for joining us in class this semester as well. What have you got for our students?
Thank you. I'll be quick. First, congratulations. Really excited to see all of you graduate, even though the circumstances aren't great. Just got 3 things that I hope you'll remember. The first is that struggle is, in the journey all of you are going on, struggle is the norm. And so embrace the struggle. Embrace the struggle that the customers you're looking to create products and services for are going through. Embrace the struggle in the entrepreneurial journey. Don't see that as a deterrent. Embrace it, because that is literally part of the entrepreneur's journey. The second thing is you will get a lot of no's, but that's okay. You'll be in very good company. Henry Ford got a lot of no's. Mo Ibrahim got a lot of no's. Steve Jobs got fired. So you will get a lot of no's, but just understand that that's part of the journey. And the last thing is all you need is one yes. And so just keep chugging along as you continue to build these organizations. You'll refine your model, you'll refine your business, you'll understand your customers better, your environment better, and you will get that yes and those people who believe in you. And you've got Legatum at your back. If I can be helpful in any way, let me know. Thank you for all you're doing.
Thank you, Afosa. Next, we have Winston Chang, Creative Ideation Chief and Oasis International, and also a very, very dear friend.
Thank you. Congratulations. And I was thinking about what to tell you and what to leave you. And I was thinking about one of the things that followed me through all of my time in the commercial sector. And it's something I learned from the military on leadership. And I feel like I had an opportunity to learn a lot of the principles that the military advocates, but then see how it's applied in sort of the civilian sector. And this one I see a lot of people get wrong. And that's why I wanted to leave you with this. The core principle, and I think it ties in phenomenally well with principled entrepreneurship, is that as a leader, you should always be pursuing respect, not pursuing being liked, essentially. As in, you can't control people whether they like you or they don't. But if you're the type of person that makes consistent good decisions, value-based decisions, and you uphold your principles and your own honor code, then even the people who dislike you will respect you. And that's because respect is earned. So that's sort of my word of wisdom that I leave with you. And I wish you the best, and I hope everything is exciting. And thank you.
Thank you, Winston, so much. John Michael Schurt, my fellow Eisenhower Fellow, but also artist, entrepreneur. Thank you for coming and speaking with us this semester as well.
Yeah. So I saw you all 3 months ago. We talked a lot about uncertainty and embracing that path. And the world's giving us all a forcing function right now. And it can feel like a lot's changing and there's a lot of loss. And it's easy to focus on that loss, but I think it's also a great moment to focus on your purpose. Because these moments of crisis can really clarify, give us all an acute sense of why we exist and what we're seeking to do. A lot of times I think for your generation especially, there's so many options and you might be clear on what you want to create in the world, but there can be a lot of things that dissuade you or take you away from that path. And this is a moment just to double down. The forcing function of this crisis is allowing us all to say what really matters. And when you find your purpose, it's the best guide you can have, because all the strategies, all the tactics, they all bundle up into just fulfilling this greater sense of purpose. And I think for many people in this room, there was a moment that defined us. You know, for me, it was living in New York on 9/11. And the sense of crisis that emerged gave me a purpose that I still carry out today. And so if you use this moment and let it anchor you and something bigger than yourself, and hopefully this will be a time of clarity as well as confusion.
Thank you, John Michael. And Nagesh Rao, who's a board member of Enchroma and also one of the powerhouses at the Small Business Administration. Thank you for joining us today. I know the fellows haven't met you in person, but you've been a great supporter of Legatum Center. Please share your 1-minute gift of wisdom.
Yes, yes, ma'am. I hope everyone can hear me okay. And it's nice to be in the company of some brilliant folks here. Look, I'll just be frank with you all. When a shitstorm comes your way, your fight or flight response kicks in. And that's been happening for the last 2 months with me and my team at SBA. And Dina's a dear friend, and she's been watching from afar through WhatsApp because of social distancing. But she, Winston team, they've been watching. So if you've been following PPP, Idle, all that, that's been my team building it out and making it happen. And one of the things that I've learned over that last 2-month process and late sleepless nights is goes back to what Winston said about respect. When you respect your team, remember loyalty is a two-way street. Respect your superiors and respect your team. And when you make sure when you work together, and you can have intellectual disagreements, but put together a team that trusts each other. If you don't trust each other and you cannot have honest conversations and transparent dialogues with each other, it's just not going to work. And so the honesty is seriously the best thing I can tell you all, is remember to do it honest, transparent, and just fight the good fight. You're gonna have trying moments, and that's okay. But pick yourself up and continue the fight. Don't fly. Don't run away. Just keep on trucking through and fighting. It will work out. You just got to be patient, and you got to have faith in yourself. That's all I can tell you.
Thank you, Nagesh. Jay Kothari, project lead, Glass at X, Moonshot Factory. Also, dear friend who spoke with the fellows last week, thank you for being with us today. What is your 1-minute gift of wisdom?
Thanks. First of all, congratulations to all of you. Those pictures were incredibly impressive, and this program is awesome. My advice is find your superpower. Everybody's got one. Focus on it. Figure out how you can bring it to the table, and recognize that you can't do everything by yourself. I think that's a really, really big one. Start by surrounding yourselves, and you guys have done that in this fellowship, with people you can rely on, who think the way that you do, who think large and think in different ways, rely on each other. I know that from the fellowship that I've done, I've relied on everybody that I've met in various different ways, and connect with them in any way you can, and offer your superpower in the same way that you're asking for help. And then the last tiny thing that I love to think about, and I tell myself every day, is focus on the problem, fall in love with the problem. Don't focus on a solution. It's the problem you're trying to solve. Congrats once again.
Thank you so much, Jay. Will Hurley, founder and CEO of Strange Works, and our new innovator in residence at the Legatum Center. What is your 1-minute gift of wisdom?
Well, first, I want to back what everybody's saying. Congratulations on your accomplishment. I mean, it takes an incredible amount of dedication to go through a program like you're going through, especially so far away from your homes, and willing to bring so much back to your homes, where so many people travel places and see a benefit and stay there and don't go and give back to the local community. I applaud you all for that. I think that, I would just remind you that in the current crisis, both everything from the stock market to the oil prices, to the COVID, it's important to remember that General Motors, IBM, Disney, HP, even Microsoft were all founded in basically recessions or depressions. And while it's very easy to look at the negative side of all of these things, I think that this is the type of environment where your true entrepreneurship skills come through, and where you have the opportunity to actually find opportunities in this chaos. And I'd remind you that you live in the greatest time ever to be alive. I mean, you have so much technology at your fingertips, so much access and networking. You now have this MIT network that's amazing. So I would say, go out and find, how you can take advantage with the pitches that you gave us today in this climate, and take advantage of that.
Thank you so much, Will. Elizabeth McBride, our journalist in residence at the Legatum Center.
Thanks. Thank you, Dina. I also am in awe of the quality of the pitches that I saw, and I feel a little bit bereft. It's true that I haven't been able to be up at Legatum every month, meeting everyone in person, especially now that I've heard what you're working on in more detail. But I will look forward to connecting with you over the next coming months. So I just wanted to say three things really. So I am, in addition to being a journalist, also an entrepreneur myself, and launched a publication called Times of Entrepreneurship on February 12th, lucky for me, right into the teeth of the pandemic. So it's been a sort of terrifying whirlwind. I know people who can empathize with that. But I feel like we're in a great space now, and I think we got there by moving very fast and being very focused on the singular idea of doing what would make the most impact in the world. So that meant really focusing on the stories that I thought at a spear point might be able to move the dialogue some. And we have been able to do that. So that's one thing I would say, is just move fast and focus on where your biggest impact is as a person and as a company. The second thing I'd say is that having been through a number of these crises and recessions in my life as well, these are the times when your integrity becomes more and more important. Trust is at a premium when people can't count on support from institutions. The trust between individuals and relationships really comes to the fore. So be trustworthy. And then the last thing is that as a journalist, I've been privileged to interview many great entrepreneurs over my career. And I've seen many of them get increasingly out of touch with kind of their humanity. So looking ahead past this crisis, I'm sure that all of you are going to be great entrepreneurs. You're going to build those big companies. You're going to be huge successes. And I would just say, in the words of one entrepreneur who did not lose touch, Jack Bogle, who was the founder of Vanguard, used to tell me, you can't forget the people you serve. And that means your employees, your partners, your clients, your community, and really focus on serving them, and that will not steer you wrong.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And Valeria Budinich, who is a scholar in residence at the Legatum Center, what is your 1-minute gift of wisdom?
Unmute myself. The first one is congratulations. Enjoy this moment. You will remember it for years to come. And it has been very, very energizing to hear your entrepreneurial drive and your commitment to make the world a better place. Don't lose that. It will be the energy that it will take you out of the low moments. And in terms of gems of words of wisdom, two simple ones. The first one is the altitude of the dream. Because you are graduating at the beginning of the post-COVID world, you will have the privilege to be the entrepreneurs that will be the architects, among the entrepreneurs that will be the architects of that post-COVID world. And if you aim high, if you really take your dreams to the fullest extent, you will be in a position to transform local economies and to make your dream come true. And I would like to leave you with a quote of one of my mentors that for me, it's a north. It points to a north that it has always served me well. And that quote is that ideas are not in our mind. They exist in the space that we create in conversations. And that space that we create in conversations is precisely what ignites the entrepreneurial drive, and the Legatum community is one of those spaces. Keep cultivating it, honor it, and make it bigger. Enjoy the ride, and I wish you a great journey.
Thank you so much, Valeria. Adil Bousili, who is our investor in residence at the Legatum Center.
Thank you, Dina. So congratulations, everyone, for finishing what has probably been the hardest school year or fellowship to finish ever. So well done. I think for years and years, you're gonna remember how during the pandemic, you were enrolled in MIT, finishing your Legatum fellowship, and man, you've nailed it. So kudos on that. What I would like to say is that the basic rules of the game haven't changed. So if someone out there has an unserved need and they find a product or a service, there's business. What has changed? Who are those people and what their needs are and how quickly they are changing, which leads to simply a lot of uncertainty. And who better to deal with uncertainty than entrepreneurs and change makers, than you, basically. So if you're in that spot, or whether you need to pivot, if you're feeling it and if you find it, embrace it, go for it, and just enjoy the journey. Make sure to celebrate. Thank you.
Thank you, Adil. And before I move to the last person who will give you the final gift of wisdom, I feel like I also would like to give you my final piece of wisdom. And, you know, I started my own company over 10 years ago, right after the Egyptian Revolution, which kind of gave me my own sense of purpose. Thank you, John Michael, for reminding me of that. But my advice to you is to really find your tribe, find the community that lifts you up and cheers you on. Every single person who has spoken here tonight, they're part of my tribe and they keep me going. And when I'm not doing great, they lift me up. And when I'm doing great, they cheer me on. And that's a beautiful thing. And when you're an entrepreneur, it can be a very lonely journey. It doesn't need to be. So my piece of advice is find your tribe and hold on to them, and, you know, give them everything that you have and take everything that they're willing to give you. And with that, I'd like to hand over the final moment to Megan Mitchell. Megan, you're on mute.
I thought I'd make it through. Okay. You know, I said at the outset, you know, that I can't express how proud I am of you. And I probably would have said that in March. But maybe what I really should add tonight is how in awe of you I am. The initiative, the resilience, and the caring you've shown over the last few months has been extraordinary. For people who were watching, you only had a few moments with the fellows here. But what I've been witnessing is all of you are, you know, leaders moving through disruption and uncertainty with purpose and conviction. You know, they worked together, they leapt into new ventures. You know, you all pivoted on and reworked some of your ventures, changed travel plans and thought about how you could do research and advance your ventures from here. You organized, you collaborated, and it really was an amazing thing to witness. And I know also, as much as we really tried to do everything we could to check on all of you and support all of you, it didn't go unnoticed that you took the time to check on us too. So this is kind of in keeping with what Dina had said, and that is, as you go, and what Megan said, as you go forward, remember how much you leaned on one another, whether that was in class, or was during the meals beforehand, or was it a catch up in the hallway, or in the R4 small group sessions. And don't think of this as a goodbye. Think about this as moving forward and having all these people at your back. The center, you'll always be a part of the Legatum Center family. And so please don't ever forget that. Whether, you know, you're out in the world and you need something from us, or we can bring you into the classroom. So that would be my advice to you, is never forget the Legatum Center and its community is here for you. So with that, we're going to adjourn the session. Thank you to all of our guests who joined us on screen tonight, and the audience participants. It was so fun for me to be able to see you, hearing you did great jobs in classes, and now to hear what the fellows have been working on. And of course, again, thank you to our donors and supporters, the Legatum Group, MasterCard Foundation, Jacobs Foundation, Koch Foundation, and Her Royal Highness Princess Maudi bint Khalid. We wouldn't be here without them. But anyway, we'll send you off. For the fellows, we were going to take a break and reconvene for just a few minutes to kind of celebrate one another in the classroom link. But again, thank you all, everyone who participated and joined and stayed online. This has been really a fun evening for me, and hopefully it has been for you all as well.
we're leaving and going to another link, right?